Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to our podcast, The Spiritual Hour. My name is Gina,
Yes, and I'm Anna.
and today we are continuing our topic around finding your purpose, and
Mm-hmm.
we'll outline, steps that we think are certain, like, helpful guiding points to, like, find clues towards it, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, like, how do I word that? Yeah, like finding the clues, basically. Because sometimes we can feel lost.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes, girl. Oh,
God, and it's cancer season. It's effing emotional cancer season.
mm-hmm.
About purpose. And
Not a fan.
you're like what, Cancer rising?
Uh-huh.
Like, ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been interesting because I just feel like things have been coming up, and then so there's a lot of inner turmoil, not on like a crazy scale, but definitely like, oh, that's a problem, oh, that's a problem. And then it's like the cancer side definitely wants to get like emotional about it, but then like my Pisces and then like the Aries is just like, no, we're just gonna we're gonna realize that no longer serves us and we're gonna let it go. So it's been a very interesting, very consciously aware of things and just letting it all go. So it's been nice, but also just kind of just annoying. I'm ready for like Leo season to start.
More
I,
energy. Definitely more.
yeah, I'm so over it. Yeah, I've been like devoid of energy. I'm just like I don't want to do anything.
Mm.
Ugh.
I would say cancer season for me definitely has been very introspective, very, just geared towards emotional introspection, which can be tough. Oh,
Mhm.
and I would also say, um, just learning how to sit with it, and not
Mhm.
trying to do too much, but just simply sitting with it. And I've also been doing a lot of nervous system stuff lately, and that's
Mhm.
also been very just grounding, very, very grounding. Because when you just sit with it, it's like, oh, but obviously you forget sometimes. No one's perfect, but yeah, that's been something that I'm really focusing on. So, and I guess I also have a new meditation practice, so that's also probably why. Oh, some things are coming up too, and I'm like, oh my god. All right, so the card, she did the sage.
Yes.
The card we have here is door to personal healing and happiness. And so I love this because our career paths can definitely feed our souls, can definitely feed our spirits. And so I
Mhm.
see this being a card that is saying, you know, our career paths are an avenue towards expansion beyond
Mhm.
our wildest dreams. It may seem cliche, but when you really love what you're doing, you're just creating a lot of positive emotional charge. So,
Mhm.
of course, it'll begin to like just kind of go wild and be unpredictable in the best way possible. And we also
Yeah.
have the Agnya chakra here, the sixth chakra. So I love seeing that because also about us like following our intuition in order to get us there, and having that discernment. And my sacred text the text that I use say discernment and discrimination. Some people might like kind of recoil at that word, but it's not like in a negative way. It's just like understanding what is of you and what is not of you, essentially.
Mhm. Yeah.
um
Exactly. I definitely like the first one because it feels like it kind of ties into cancer season. In the sense that like it brings forth things for you to realize that like there is a path and you're either on it or you're not, and then how to kind of like reshape and like restructure things to get back on that path to so more things open up for you. So I think that kind of fits that too.
mm, yeah, definitely, definitely. It's about Yeah, alignment. Because I follow someone and she's like authenticity versus alignment, and she, I
Mm.
guess, resonates more with alignment. And I've been, I think I don't say this every episode, but sometimes I feel like I talk about it all the time. I play violin, and so like we have to bring the string into a certain alignment so it can sound good. And even when you're playing, your intonation, which is um, the note hand versus the bow hand. So
Mhm.
intonation is the note hand. So that's the hand that makes all the like the pitches and whatnot. It has to be on point, or it sounds like not good. So it's, yeah, I like alignment too because I can see it, a lot in my life and how like it, you know, plays out or whatever. So yeah, purpose and finding. First, I think I said this last episode, but really giving yourself permission to follow your purpose is going to be
Mhm.
a huge thing, because if like you have reservations about what it is, and sometimes you do, especially if it's like more in the occult or just, not something maybe even you saw yourself doing it when you were younger, it can
Mhm.
be a little bit unsettling, to
Yeah.
give that permission. And we grew up with so much authoritative energy around us that we almost, I feel, sometimes look for permission versus following our personal desires. But then that that goes in with the deconditioning stuff, because in order to follow yourself, you just have to trust yourself, and you have to decondition in order to do that, because there just are a lot of external influences, and it can steer you away from your true north, which is like the
Mhm.
guiding compass.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
to follow.
And then not only that, like how you're saying you have to kind of like tune out the external stuff, and also like if it's not mainstream, like if a lot of people aren't doing it, and like I feel like one, we're creatures of habit, and we're also creatures of like social. We want to be social, and we're very clicky, you know. As humans, we're super clicky, so we find people that like are very similar to us, and that can be a great thing, and then also it can be, something that can be a hindrance. So if you're finding yourself liking a thing or doing a thing that most people around you aren't doing or aren't liking, don't let that deter you, because at the end of the day, they're not living your life. They're not doing just your regular day to day like routines and stuff like that. So they don't know. One, you're probably really good at it too if you like it, So like, don't be afraid of being good at something that other people don't understand, because just because it's, people in your immediate circle that don't understand it doesn't mean that there's not an audience for it somewhere else. you know it's completely fine that like you and your friends or like you and your family have like different interests in things. So don't allow like, oh, but I'm not doing what they're doing, I want to do what they're doing. Don't worry about that. Don't focus on that. Focus on what you enjoy doing, and you'll find other people that do it, or you just find other people that are interested in knowing more about it, and you could be that like teacher or guide, for it or whatever. So.
Hmm. And yeah, and it's the perfect time to have this much autonomy, because we have a certain atmosphere that supports it. We have something that
Mhm.
no one else had, the internet, and so we can really begin to do things differently and
Mhm.
break out of those modes that were typically there. And again, it could still feel pretty damn scary to do that,
Mhm.
but really about just letting go of what people are saying and the noise around you, like you were saying, and just really doing the damn thing.
Mhm. Exactly.
Really
And
important.
like if COVID taught us anything, like how many people, quit their 9 to 5 job? They had corporate
Uh,
jobs. They were at a job that they were at for like 25 years, and they're like, you know what? Life is literally too short. Let's just let me do this. If it doesn't work out, then I'll go back to what I was doing, or I'll do something else if that doesn't work out. But the fact that like you can always pivot and change, and you don't have to be beholden to something for your entire life. I think that's a great thing, and it's something that should definitely be explored. So don't be afraid if something comes up and it's like, oh, I have an interest in that thing. Just do it. You don't even have to do it at first with the intent or with the idea of it making money. Just do it for yourself at first. And if it's something that you enjoy doing and you're doing it for a while, then maybe think about how you can monetize on it. That's what I do with like my aromatherapy. At first I was like just doing it for myself because I had asthma and I didn't want to, buy all these like products that had all these chemicals in it that, trigger my asthma. So I'm like, I'm just going to make my own shit, right? And then people liked it. I was like, oh, okay. And I was just making it for myself. Like I'm glad that people liked it. I'm like, so I started making it for other people. So I'm just like, you never know what path it's gonna lead down. You just first have to try. And that's the whole point of life. Just try. And then it takes you to somewhere that like you weren't even expecting and you really enjoy it.
And this goes back to the intuition and how like, sometimes it kind of leads you to this weird place where you're like, okay, what's going on here? Like, why am I here? What's going on? There is no like, sometimes there is no plan with the intuition. Even though it's like intelligent energy, it's still sometimes we can't see it. And so we just really have to trust. And that's another big thing about following your path is trust and really being open to being led.
Yeah, exactly. Trusting yourself, I think, is probably the first step to connecting and finding your purpose, because if you don't trust yourself, like...
Oh, you said trusting yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. It cut out for a moment there. Trusting yourself is definitely like the first step to all this, because like if you don't trust yourself to be able to make those decisions on like what to do next, like it makes going out to find your purpose more difficult, because it's just like, oh well, no, like I don't want to do that, because of XYZ, or I'm not going to be good at that. You have to trust yourself that it's fine for you to fail at it at first, but knowing that eventually you will succeed. So like, don't be afraid to not do it just because, you're scared that like it's not going to go anywhere. Who cares if it doesn't go anywhere? At least you did it. Now and then maybe the path meanders and like you come back to it in 5 years or whatever, but then you already have the experience of doing it previously, it's just one of those things where it's just like, you have to look into yourself and see what kind of like lights that fire, what gives you that passion. Once you do that and you figure it out, then you can go into like the process of how to execute it and stuff. But if you don't trust yourself enough to like look within and be like, hey, something's not working, how I'm doing things now currently, I don't feel as fulfilled as I should, what else can I do? But you have to trust yourself to look inward to know that you already have the answers. You just have to listen.
Definitely, for sure. And I guess if you don't know how to look within, you probably don't know how to read your astrology either. So that kind of stuff. But I would say knowing your north node. This isn't slight, it's just like coming in at the most. Not a good angle. But yeah, knowing your north node could be very, very powerful. So what is your north node? We have both the south and the north. South is kind of like, I've been there, done that, things I've integrated, maybe some wounds there too, but it's very much like past life energy, basically. And then we have a north node, it's kind of like the future that we are creating by following almost a higher calling. And when I imagine the north node in my head, I kind of see the Venus star, because it's the brightest star in the sky, I believe. And it's also the one that comes out first or leaves first. I'm not sure which one.
I think it comes out first because that's the one that you can see. It's right by the moon, I think.
It comes out first and maybe even stays the longest or something. I'm not really sure, but I just know it's a
Mhm.
very, very bright star, and like kind of anyone can identify it in the sky if you just kind of try hard enough, you know. That's kind of how I envision the North Node in my head. So it's something that is very, very pinpointed, very, very specific, a very clear direction, but it's still, of course, it's millions of miles away, so it still can be full vague. But yeah, knowing your North Node, so we have the houses, and obviously I don't know you, so I don't know where your North Node is. But I know I have mine in the eighth house, basically. That is the house of Scorpio. Well,
And Scorpio.
it's all, and I was reading my chart the other day and was like, this stuff is like poetic, the way it like all weaves and winds together, because you think it's just like everywhere and like random. But when you can begin to read your stuff, it's like, well, I'm a Scorpio and my North Node is in the Leo house, and then my South Node is in the second house, and it's ruled by Aquarius, and I have a shit ton of planets in the 11th house, which is ruled by Aquarius. My Venus is also in Scorpio. So it's just like all the little like things that just makes your head go. But yeah,
And everything connects.
yeah, it really connects. God, this lighting is just like not good. Oh,
I thought it was raining. What happened? The sun's like, I'm coming out now.
Literally, it was raining, and like 15 minutes to the stream, guys, and the sun's out. I'm just like, this is the temperament weather to where I'm at. But yeah, it can be just you're here and then like bam, you're there and gotta accept it. But yeah, the North Node, and it's a very powerful placement basically to explore. And so for me, I know that it's a lot of internal energy, a lot of internal like sifting, which can feel daunting. And also, I'm not quite sure if everyone's North Node is in retrograde, but I believe mine is in retrograde. I could be wrong about this. I need to continue to familiarize myself.
I don't even know what a North Node is, so you're already just kind of like.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just know a lot of it's internal. So a lot of my growth in this lifetime will be internal, dealing with taboo topics, dealing with things like sexuality, things like that, So I guess even like violence, death, rebirth, like all of the stuff.
That's why you were born a Scorpio, because all that.
Yeah, it's just like it's so much, but I'm like, okay, well, we're here to do it. And I know it's just because I have a Scorpio stellium, guys, okay? And also I have my Chiron, my Lilith, and my Chiron and my Lilith in Scorpio. So it's all.
You're Scorpioed out.
I'm totally out, guys. Honestly, the only thing that can make me more Scorpio is having a Scorpio moon. And at that point, I think I would kind of obliterate all of society. So thank God for the Pisces wisdom. And she's a Pisces, guys. Thank God for the Pisces wisdom, because I don't think I can handle any more Scorpio.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's co-ruled by Mars and Pluto. So Mars is all the aggression, all the anger, our drive, whatever. And then we have Pluto, which is like burn the shit to the ground. Let's get let's do something else.
Let's just start over.
Let's just start over. And of course, we're like, I'm condensing the meaning. I have to continue to explore. Someone I was watching her. She does human design, gene keys, and astrology.
She does jinkies, like jinkies, like Velma. What did you say?
Jinkies. I said no. That was just no. Gene keys. Like they go in human design. Like gene
keys. Okay.
That was really funny.
I was like, jinkies? Like, because I don't know, there's so much freaking crap out there in the world. Like, maybe someone, Okay,
Yes.
gene, like your genes, like your DNA keys.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay, okay, and then human design. So she does astrology, gene keys, and human design.
Yeah. So she's
Okay.
very multifaceted. But one of the things she said was that she wants to kind of, keep the traditional meanings of the planets and houses and signs and stuff, but also begin to expand, beyond saying, oh, Scorpio is all about sex. Scorpio is dark. Scorpio is obsessive. Scorpio is like vindictive. Scorpio is
Mm-hmm.
all about betrayal. Like those very like kind of true, but also, you know, off statements about
Mm-hmm.
the signs and like continue to explore what they truly mean beyond our like perceived perceptions. So I
Yeah.
really like that approach. And as I continue to study, I want to, garner more of that wisdom. But astrology is like you're learning a whole new language, basically. Like, so it's very, very intricate, very, very detailed, and just
And there's a lot of different interpretations of it too, of like what each
different.
sign and stuff means, because there's so many different people that like practice it. So like they all like put their own little,
Mhm.
bias into it, which mm, can't really fault them, but like it definitely makes it harder. But that is definitely something that can be used. At least, just knowing your big three, as like, it's been known. So your sun sign, which is when you're born, so that's the month you're born. Your moon sign, which you can calculate by putting your birth date, so your day and then the time that you're born into the chart to find out where the moon was during your birth, and then your rising sign, which how do you find it's the same one, right? Your rising sign, you find it the same way
I think
with
it's
inputting your time, your birth time in there as well. So if you
mhm.
know what time you were born, then you can input that and easily get all three of those signs. And then just knowing those three kind of gives you a glimpse into like, your personality more or less. And then like I think also another thing we have to like talk about along with like human design and astrology is like what's your temperament, because I feel like if you're going to find your purpose, make sure that like your temperament
Oh,
aligns with that,
that's so true.
because
So
or at
true.
least you're able to like kind of pivot or like fake it. Like I hate working in customer service. It irks me because there's just way too many people that piss me off because they're stupid.
I
So
was
it
gonna say
was
it, but you did,
yeah.
so go ahead and go
It
ahead
does
and say
not work for me. Now, I'm the type that like I can forego how I feel in the moment and still do my job and get it done. There are other people that cannot do that. If you cannot do that, don't go into a customer service job where you're going to be, having to speak to people constantly or like help people with a certain service. Don't do it, because at the end of the day, you're just going to go home annoyed, tired, and drained. And then you're going to ruin someone else's day because you weren't doing your job, accurately or to the best of your ability. So know your temperament. Like I also know that I would I don't like to do things that are like philanthropist based. That's not my temperament. I wish I was one of those people that love to go, what's the word, volunteer at like a soup kitchen, or, volunteer to help the homeless. It is not that I don't care about them. I do, but that's not my temperament. That's not what I was here to do. I'm here to massage people and make aromatherapy for them and do things that way. I
so
don't
if I
know.
invited you to come with volunteer with me, you would not want to
I
go.
would not.
Wow,
I wish
never met
I
someone
couldn't
so
do it.
stingy.
Wait, what?
I've never met someone so stingy.
I'm a
That's
really caring person, but I'm not a volunteer. I'm not a yeah. I'm not a volunteer.
you're so
Do
unique.
not volunteer me for tribute. No, please don't. I That's not my temperament. So like whatever your temperament is, try to align it with that. It's kind of how I think about it is kind of similar to all the love language, bullcrap that like people like to talk about, like, oh, I like to have access.
You have all the jokes today. Jeez.
It's cancer season, man. I'm a little feisty, just a little feisty. I'm just saying. Sorry, but I don't really jive with the whole love languages thing because I feel like we as people are too multifaceted for that to just
You
be
know,
contained to
I
one.
feel like watching like, reality shows and they're like, my love language is like acts of kindness or like touch. I'm like, well, I like all of them, I'm greedy.
Exactly.
I like all of them. I love
Yeah.
the kindness. I love the cuddles. I love, all of it.
Hmm.
Listening to people, all of it. So
Yeah.
when someone's like,
Exactly.
I have like one dominant one, I'm like, but don't you like all of them? Do you just want some? Yeah, I was watching this one show and it's like, my God, like you just sound like someone that wants to know themselves, but maybe you don't.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's just because like it gets a little bit messy when it's just kind of like, oh, well, my act of service is receiving a gift. I like to be doted upon, which, because I don't remember which one that one is, but it's like having things done for you or something. Like people enjoy that, which, do not get me wrong, that is important, in a relationship to feel supported and like cared for. But when people kind of just take that and run with it and only like focus on their act of service or like their love language, sorry, and not focus on their partners, and like knowing that their partner doesn't like to give gifts, but theirs is like, I'll cook for you, and like that's their way. It just gets to be a whole thing that like I don't really. But that's another
No,
story topic.
it reminds me of this show I watched. God, I can love trashy reality TV. Oof. And there was one called "Put a Ring on It."
Oh my god,
Imagine going on a show begging to be
the
engaged.
freaking titles.
It's ridiculous. But anyways, this one couple, she was like, my love language is gifts or something. But her partner thought that meant like extravagant trips. And she was happy with it, but she really didn't mean that. She meant like, more small, sentimental gifts. And so
Mm.
the not turn. I don't know what the word is, but in the show, they also dated other people, basically.
Oh, the
Um,
twist of the show?
yeah, the twist. I'm like, I don't know what the word is for some reason. It eluded me completely, and then I know that word. Anyways, like what? The twist of the show was that they went on dates with other people, and so this one guy she was with gave her this beautiful, extravagant painting. She liked some like sports team or something. She loved flamingos, and he did this beautiful little logo or something, and she loved it. And she was like, "That's what I wanted to do." But I'm like, if your partner doesn't put that up, like, will you put down? And you've been dating for how long? Like, I just don't understand. But yeah, that's an example of how
Also,
it's
just
not.
say it. Just be like, I love the trips. This is great. But what I meant was, and
I was
like,
thinking.
stop treating people like they're mind readers, freaking psychics. Because, like, we're not. Like,
Yeah.
just say it. What do you mean? What do you want? That's why I'm just like, when that like got popular, I'm just like, I can't. I
Yeah.
can't. Because like the way people were using it was like literally they wanted to focus so much on what theirs was and would completely negate what their partner's was or what they were looking for in a partner. I'm just like, this is where you lose me. But anywho, that was a tangent. But just know what your temperament is. What will it align with? Like, what's something that you enjoy doing? If you know that you enjoy like seeing people smile after you've done something good for them, maybe volunteer work is for you. That's great. Do it. But like, if that's not your temperament, please don't get into it.
Could
Like,
you be
kind of
so
like,
angry and upset people's already upset days? I'm like,
wait, what?
could you be so angry and then you'll be there upsetting people's already upset days?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
just don't.
Really having to know, like you were saying, just like what you're capable of. Like I know for me, as soon as you said that, I'm just like, deep down inside of me, I want to believe that I can do everything and anything on this planet, but that's just not true. Like I could never be an OR nurse or anything like around blood.
Mm-mm,
Like that's just
mm-mm,
not something that I would be able to sit and stomach or even like
mm-mm.
doctoring stuff, like even things like police officer, army. Like I don't want to do that.
Yeah. I feel like maybe I could get over the blood and like the guts and stuff. It freaks me out, but like if I needed to, I could get over it. What I can't get over is like the constant death or like the sadness of it. That's not in me either. It
Yeah.
just no.
How like
That's
fast paced it is and how like you never get a break really and stuff. It just seems to be difficult.
hmm
Certain paths. So yeah, every path is not for you. Actually,
hmm
something
no.
that I've
Yeah.
really been learning and integrating because again we have this like I feel that growing up or schooling really puts us on a negative path towards finding our purpose because instead of catering to what our natural inclinations are, we're given rules and standards and lessons and like I understand how certain things can be helpful. Like I definitely believe in structure. Oh, this is what I was going to talk about, schooling and how like God, it's just like it really sets you up to fail essentially.
hmm
I am someone that champions education. I believe that I don't believe in homeschooling. I champion education, and I just really believe that our school systems don't know how to nurture us, and then we 7 times out of 10 have parents that don't nurture us either. But with the schooling in particular, there's so much rigidity, and with this one particular theory or schooling system or whatever. It's called Montessori schooling. And it's like they allow the children to wander. But of course, like there's maybe like little stations set up, I'm going to assume, like to where like they can naturally go to where and what they're inclined to. And this actually reminded me of Avatar The Last Airbender when he was given the test of like, okay, which ones do you like, are you naturally drawn to? And his totem or his toy, or whatever, let them know that that was what your calling was, that's your purpose. And so even though it's a show, like sometimes shows are just like mind blowing because that's kind of how it's supposed to be. It's kind of we're supposed to be able to wander and pick what we want to do while I believe still having structure. So I believe like every you know um genre, I guess, of learning, so math, writing, reading,
Um,
section
I
genre.
can't. Yeah, I can't think of the word either.
But every section is important, so you have to do all of them. It's not like you
hmm
have to study all of them, but I believe that there are certain ones where we just have more aptitude for. And so I
hmm
wish that our schooling was more geared towards aptitude and not towards standards and curriculums and goals and testing and bullshit. I mean,
Yeah.
I believe in all of this stuff, but you have to make sure you do it in the correct way. And
hmm
also I want to say, kind of not on topic, but I don't believe in homeschooling because no one person is going to be an expert at every subject. And so I guess maybe if you have a husband that is just like you guys really are the yin and the yang, maybe, I don't know. But no one person is going to be an expert at every subject. And so I believe in charter schools to where it's I think it's non-government or something. There's just less interference in it. So there's more freedom for the teachers to teach and they're more enthusiastic and they learn so well and actually went to a part charter school-ish kind of growing up. So I kind of, know what it's about and it's just so much more effective. And again, no one's going to be an expert at every subject. So I don't
hmm
believe in homeschooling for that reason. And also we need to be socialized with other kids that are not our subject.
That's
Um,
true.
but yeah, that's a little like spiel there about education really just can distance us from our purpose, but sometimes for some people, put them there because some people are meant to be lawyers, doctors, etc. But then
Mm-hmm.
for many of us, for the ones like, us maybe even, the education system doesn't really serve us, not in the way that it could.
Mm-hmm. I hate school. Like I love to learn, but I think the structure of it for I would even say for a lot of kids, because like when you look at how many kids in your classes just growing up throughout the years, how many kids were either failing because they were acting out because like they didn't like it, because they didn't have proper structure at home. Like it's not geared towards them, and it's not geared towards the ones that are like ahead. Like I was always ahead in math, history, and science, like up until a point for science. Because then after that, it just got a little bit too complicated for me. Like I did really well up until like chemistry, and then like past that, I'm just like, I don't know what y'all are doing. But like that was like the last thing that and that was like kind of mathy based too, which is weird because I am not good at math, but I was really good at chemistry for some reason. Don't know why, but I loved it. But anywho, like I just feel like it's it's too structured in a way, and then which will create people that are like constantly trying to strive for that goal, which is fine. It's great to have goals. I'm not saying that it's not, but like they never get a break to sit back and be like, do I actually like to do this? I think it kind of can contribute to like people that become a little what's the word? It kind of can contribute to like a neuroses sort of a thing. Like people will just like be like, I have to do this. But it's like, why do you have to do it? you know and then like they end up doing something that they don't end up liking, but they're doing it because they're told, you go to school, you finish, you do this, then you go into the next step, and that's usually getting a job in whatever degree you're in. Then they wake up one day and they're like 45, and it's like, I don't even like this. And it's like, if we were allowed to be like, hey, this is over here and it's fine, but this is also over here and you can go explore and do this. And if you want to come back to this, structured path after you find your way and realize that this doesn't work for you, do so. But like the fact that like everything is so linear with like the way that we're taught, and there isn't a lot of like meandering or like going off the path and being like, no, you have to do XYZ, it can be a little soul crushing, especially to people that are a little bit more creative. And to label them as like less smart or like dumb because they're not getting what you're teaching in the manner that it's being taught is kind of messed up.
It really is.
Like, they're not dumb. They just have a different type of intelligence. They have artistic, creative intelligence. They're not stupid, but they're really good at colors. They're really good at like figuring out shadows. They can paint from memory. They can go to a park, sit for 30 minutes, go home and paint exactly what they saw. Are they stupid? No. But like it's like this weird, like how it's set up isn't really in a way that allows you to explore what you like doing, and not in a way that allows you to find what your actual soul craves, which is your purpose, what your soul came here to experience in this life. It wasn't made to allow it to flourish and to find that. So unfortunately, like you wake up and you're 45 or you're 50 and it's like, damn, you know what? Maybe I should have gone to art school. It's not too late. It's just that now you have to like play a little catch up, or like you get a little bit down on yourself because you could have done it 25 or 30 years ago, but you needed to make money. Because like there's not money in those things unless you make it really big, or unfortunately you die, and then all your paintings, are like worth millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's sad in and of itself, having to like be something after you die. That whole thing, I don't understand. But whatever. Yeah, Tesla, Van Gogh. no one liked any of Van Gogh's stuff because like it was too different, it was too weird. And he died thinking that like no one liked his stuff. And to me, he's like one of the best painters ever outside of like the classical like Renaissance. Like he's my favorite, I would say.
Mm.
But like man-made things can often stunt us emotionally and like spiritually, and sometimes it's okay to like go against the grain a little bit to find what you actually like to do, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and even how like we're expected to have everything figured out by 18. I know that can be a common complaint, but
yeah.
our brains don't stop developing till we're 25 years old. So I would say
Mm-hmm.
actually we like around 25 years old is kind of when we get everything together, you know. But
Yeah.
we're expected to know from such a young age, and that pressure definitely can detract from being able to hear yourself and being able to hear, you know, what it is that you want, and having even, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the
Not only that, at the age of 25, like that's when most people are done with college, and then they just spent the last, you know, like 5 6 years getting a degree that like they changed their mind later when they're like 28. So it's like, why are you forcing like the higher education? Fine, like you know, go and like learn more about the world or whatever. But to have to settle on a degree and you have to have a major by the time that you graduate is just like it's just. But like, why? Why are you forcing people? You know, probably to force them into debt.
hmm yeah, it can. We can also say it's a little game because I feel that to some degree, you know, if someone really wants to say how do we properly educate your child, how do we properly allow them to fully, you know, come into alignment with what they want to express, they wouldn't necessarily dream up the structure that we have now. I would hope not, because
I don't
it's
think
really
so.
not conducive, you know, to maximum expansion. Um,
I think you have to like do it in a way that allows them to explore, you know, 40% of the time, and then the other 60 give them structure. Because I still believe like structure over everything is like the most important because that's how our society runs. Like you can't just be doing things willy-nilly just
Thank
because
you, all
you
of your
want to.
feminine energy.
Yeah. And like there's still, you know, like rules in place that we have to respect, and like we have to respect other people because we are in a society and we're all in this together. But the other part of that needs to be like we have to figure out a way that like allows people to explore what they like to do. Um and like oh, someone said that we used to have that it was a liberal arts education. That's true. And then liberal arts kind of turned into something different now. Um,
It's really interesting how things just evolve past what they were supposed to be for.
yeah, to fit people's agenda, I guess. I don't know. To fit like other things. I don't know. But
Yeah,
like it is interesting how things change.
yeah. Because God forbid your purpose is just simply to make money, you know?
Right? That can't be to make money that like you wouldn't even be able to enjoy. Because how many hours would you need to work to make all that money? So it's like, when are you going out? Most people work like 40 hours a week at the least. You know, other people that have like really high paying jobs are working 80 hours a week. When are you enjoying that? You know? And like even on the weekends, if you are off, someone's probably calling like, "Hey, this just went down." You know, but that's too much stress. I don't want it. I don't want to be making like $200,000 a year just to be stressed out. I'm fine with like maybe capping out at like 75,000 and being able to enjoy my life. You know what I mean? Like someone said, education became big money and changed the motive. That's also true. Yeah.
And it just
Or
it makes me so frustrated because education, like there's just so much potential, when you can educate someone in the proper way. Because like
Mhm.
you are literally steering the course of someone's existence. So it's like I'm super passionate about it because it could be the difference between someone being born into like the worst conditions and
Mhm.
that's out of it and becoming the best person possible.
Mhm. Yeah, because education definitely can save you from, certain circumstances. Definitely. Being educated is great. But also being educated in like what's going to fulfill you is equally important. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like there isn't a balance with
Mm-hmm.
that anymore. And exploring,
There never was really because someone
yeah.
someone said that I was watching this one lady. I think maybe you'd like her. I will have to send you over her. I would have to send you her. But she was talking about how like our current school system is based on wartime experience, and as
Mm.
unfortunate as it is, it's kind of true. It's made to make specific people, and like you were saying, not to allow ourselves to be led, and just imagine the impact that it would have. If we were to reform education to be more purpose oriented while still incorporating what we know to be important, with the structure. And especially in places like inner cities, I think
Yeah.
that's, I guess my mind always goes there. I don't know it's like, maybe pointed or whatever, but I just feel that it's it would be the most impactful there. It could be the most impactful there to like really have positive change in education system.
Hmm. I don't even think that it necessarily needs to be like reformed in the sense that there needs to be an overhaul. I just think that it needs to be shifted a bit. Maybe not teaching for a test. Can we get rid of that? That made no sense to me because we would skip whole chapters in textbooks that we would have to bring every day. And then sometimes it's like 2 to 3 textbooks that we have to bring every day. And sometimes it was two per class, depending. I know for history, at least the middle school that I went to, and then also like high school, like there was like 2 books for English because like you had the textbook and then like this like pocket thing that we had, and then for history it was like the same thing. So I'm just like, that's 4 books for only 2 classes. And we have 5 classes minus P. So I'm just like, why do we need it every day when we're skipping how many chapters? And how does that make sense? So I feel like that needs to go away. And they also need to stop like cutting creative programs like music. We need art, we need music. Maybe put in like an auto shop class again because they took those out like years ago. Like I think right when I was going into high school, um, auto shop was leaving in a lot of schools, and this was like 2009 when I went into high school. Auto shop was leaving, home ec classes were leaving, life skill classes were leaving. So like the classes that would teach you like how to conduct yourself in life were
Mm,
like they were doing away with that. What
that makes
else?
sense.
Yeah, and then like some other classes that like we had up until a certain point, like 2009 ish, the cat left. So I'm just like, maybe put those back in, or like do like trade programs. Be like, oh hey, if you're interested in this, or even do like because what did they do with there was they would have like this class where it's like, oh, like I feel like your elective class should be like should also come with like some sort of like volunteer, not volunteer, but like some sort of like little,
From the
what's the
queen of
word?
from Miss
I
Apple.
I know the volunteer was the wrong word, not volunteer. it was like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like an internship sort of a thing. So you
Oh,
can go
oh,
somewhere and be like, oh, okay, I'm into art. Well, my elective is art. Send them to local art something. I don't know, art
yeah,
studio.
because
You know?
there wouldn't be so much confusion about what our purposes were if we were just better set up with it, with our education. And so yeah, that the internship makes a lot of sense. Imagine me going to intern with a tarot reader. That'd be funny.
that that'll be that'll be that. I don't know. That's something that like would
How do you feel
definitely need
about
to
the
be.
occult being taught in school?
The occult? I don't
What if
know.
it was like standard curriculum in American schools?
I think that would be weird. Like, if you want to learn about that, you can do it on your own time. And, I like that stuff. It's very fascinating, very interesting. But I'm just like, and then, like, also, what do we mean about the occult? Like, what's the definition? Are we
Oh,
talking
I guess
like,
like it's like esoteric practices, like understanding, for example, how we were never taught in school the true history of Christianity, how it started off as Gnosticism, and then
mm,
went to Christianity, how it was Sufism, and then it was Islam, or it was Kabbalah, and then it was Judaism, things like that. And even for me, I love the Indian, Asian sphere thing, but you know that already. I
mhm.
swear I have 1,000 past lives there or something. Um, and even like the African, I don't even know, because I feel I was gonna say African, but I guess Egyptian. That would be the Egyptian mysteries technically. Even though people like they go back and forth with that, but it will be the Egyptian mysteries. Even
I don't know. I feel like
I'm like,
I'd
yeah, it does need to be
be
taught. It needs to be
interested
all
in
over.
because I know that they do it in college. They have like a cult. Yeah, I don't think they're called occult studies, but like they'll have like mythological studies and stuff. And, like you can become like a history teacher or like a historian in those things. So
Wow,
like that's cool. Hmm?
if that made any money. I mean, I know we were just talking about, but this should be about money. But there's just no way I would like study to be a history teacher because there's no like good long term payoff. But that's something that I'm super interested in. Is like history and learning. So I would actually love to like, study. But
I would have loved to be like a history teacher, but I would have wanted to do it like be like an archaeologist or like an anthropologist and then made my way into teaching because like there's no money in just teaching.
imagine someone actually wasting their like time, energy to go be a teacher. For me, like it's just like a little bit insane because I just don't think there's a long term payoff, you know? Um
And there should be,
there
for
should be
good
definitely.
teachers at least. But
There's not. And so I'm just like
mm-mm.
there's just no way I could like waste that, valuable energy. I'm just
All
imagining
the
like
time.
one of my teachers or my teachers going to school to be a teacher and like and they're so smart. Like I got blessed with super intelligent teachers, great
Oh,
human.
nice. Good for you.
Yeah, they're really smart, and it's like you wasted your time to come teach us. Like, what are you like? What I was just, yeah. So I don't. This upcoming generation is going to be very interesting. This upcoming like, you know, because I was also thinking in my head when you were talking like if we're all leaving the workforce, what will the workforce transform into, And no, I'm not saying we're all leaving, but I think that a lot of like you were saying during COVID, a lot of people kind of woke up to their purpose and woke up to like it not being what they were doing. So it is for me, I'm like trying to conceptualize what the fallout be to basically having like a world full of entrepreneurs and not,
I, I
dumb.
think it would be fine, to be honest, because at least then, like, the economy is stimulated, and then I don't know, because I feel like consumerism is really what pushes our economy anyway and stuff because like we buy a crap ton. You know, if people are selling stuff more, I think maybe that could only be a good thing. But now you got me thinking. I wonder if like there is a downside to like everyone trying to do that and not.
So
I don't know.
because I feel that people will always want to be doctors and lawyers, but I guess
Yeah.
the corporations will be like the most impacted, like the larger corporations.
Yeah, it's kind of how like we were seeing a lot of people like from the age of like what 15 to like 25 now wanting to be like YouTubers. When like I
Yeah,
was growing up, it was just like that's not a job. And
yeah.
like there were like three that that were like pretty popular, you know?
I think there was
And
like a
now,
story or something, and they're like kids nowadays want to be YouTubers. I'm like, what? Like that for me, that's just
yeah,
like insanity. But I guess like it taps into our creativity, because we're able to like
yeah,
post whatever we want to post, do whatever we want to do. So who wouldn't want to do that? And I guess
yeah,
people speculated about YouTube and how like it's not really something that's going to be around, but I don't know. I personally don't believe that. I think that YouTube, unless they do some like really just like dumb moves with the whole like rules and stuff, they pretty much solidify themselves as like
if
uh
it's not YouTube, it'll be something else that takes its place.
yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I don't see it like I can see it being replaced, but it would have to be very innovative and like
Yeah.
really,
I don't think the concept itself would go away because
yeah.
I think like people are really enjoying that. And honestly, like the content that we've gotten, at least for like the things that like we follow and the things that we like, it's pretty good, honestly. Like
Mhm.
it is still a weird statement to like that's what you want to strive for, but
It really
I'm sure
is.
like back in the day people were like you want to be a comedian, okay, go get a real job, you know? So it's like we can't knock that just because like we're to the point where we're older and like that's not like a real job, but like so wasn't being a comedian. And like look, comedians bring so much joy to so many people. It's a real job, they be getting paid thanks, so I'm just like power to you on that. But I don't know, just I don't know. But if that's your purpose, then figure it out. Figure it out. If you really like to do it, see how it works for you. Like we can't knock it. People have to go and find out for themselves. That's the whole point. We have like what's the word I'm looking for? Autonomy and like free will. So it's like yeah, if you like it, go for it. I still think wanting to be a YouTuber is interesting, but go for it.
Yeah.
Especially if you're doing it in like a genuine way, there's nothing wrong with it at all.
Or how we have like the title, someone's purpose, but their title is influencer. Like,
I know. That's why I'm
how
just
can
like
something be free? Is it like the
we
influencer? And when
we
it was
can't.
growing up, it was a celebrity, but now it's
Yeah,
like oh, and then it's like something that anyone could do, and it's a very interesting time. And so, like I was saying, doesn't matter what it is, we kind of have it set up to where, thanks to the internet, we can kind of do whatever we want to do as long as it's audience for it. And
hmm
I can even say, well, as long as you're just magnetizing, because you can make someone like your stuff with
yeah,
your chi. So
yeah. With their
really,
charm, with their wit, how you edit the videos,
mhm.
go ahead, do it. That's the whole point of life, finding out what you like to do. If you don't find it this time, you find it next time. You know.
No, we can find it this time. And I think our school system is why a lot of people wake up 50 and 60, like you were saying, unhappy, wondering like where all their time went. And it's because, and of course life circumstances too, not just like school.
Yeah.
It plays a really big part, and also people's homes play a big part as well. But yeah.
There's going to be a lot of naysayers. There's going to be a lot of doubt. But at the end of the day, as long as you trust your intuition, you meditate, you
Have a
do
calm,
things, huh?
have a regulated nervous system.
Oh, yes. We need to talk about that in the next episode, too, because I've been like really trying to focus on that too because I've been feeling a little bit overstimulated in things, which is interesting because I don't feel necessarily stressed, but there's definitely something going on either that I'm picking up on. I'm not entirely sure, but I do want to talk about that on the next go around.
Yeah, I would love to talk about nervous system stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's something that I think I'm just really beginning to open fully to because
Mm-hmm.
it was whenever something's a trend, I'm just like I always
But
was, you know,
yeah,
this was a trend on Instagram, and so I'm like, okay, here's this new
I hate
thing,
doing everything that everyone else is doing.
and hating,
It bothers me. I'm just like, oh, great.
but this thing is actually very, very important and something that even though we're taught this in school, we're not taught. Maybe they just didn't know, but like the depth of like how this system in our body literally dictates how we act in the world. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's very important because
Yeah.
your nervous system can be the difference between your purpose and you following your purpose. Are you knowing your purpose and you following your purpose? Do you even feel safe to do it, you know? Do you have
Yeah.
feeling in you and feeling of that safety? So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of like kind of juicy conversation can come up with the nervous system because it's
Yeah.
very integral
Because it
to
controls a lot. Because it's like, are you actually having anxiety about taking this next step, or is your nervous system just overloaded because you drink coffee every day? You know, you're constantly ingesting sugar, you know, in like various forms, especially if it's processed. You know, are you like partaking in alcohol, you know, on a fairly regular basis? Now, don't get me wrong, drinking is great. I like to drink, but you do have to like kind of like
when we're done.
reel it in.
Um, tell you about something. Another
Wait,
lady.
what?
I want to. I'll just.
Oh, I like drinking's great, you know, I partake, but like at a certain point, you do have to. I don't want to use the word detox because that's just thrown around so frivolously,
They call it
but like, huh?
like a dry November or something, right?
Oh yeah, they have like yeah, but I'm just like you know take some time off from like certain activities. You know, take a break from sugar. You know, let your body naturally regulate itself again. You know, make sure you're drinking water. Take your vitamins, take your supplements. You know, go outside, get some sun. You know, ground a little bit, walk around in some grass. You know, feel the nature. Just stuff to kind of like bring you back to like homeostasis. That was my biology teacher in like 10th grade. That was her favorite word. She said it so many times. Like, she loved that word. She would always be like, hey, you have to come back to homeostasis. She was just a cool, I liked her a lot. I cannot remember her name for the life of me. But, like, she was a great freaking biology teacher. I loved her. She was amazing. But yeah, her whole thing was like homeostasis, basically like coming back to like balance,
Oh
you
wow, yeah,
know.
you don't remember those people's names.
Huh?
You really don't remember their names, but you like know their faces, but their names are just like gone.
Yeah, they're gone
And
from
like
memory now.
you know that like they're all like imprinted on you because like they taught you something, you know?
Mhm.
So it's weird. But yeah, you don't know their names.
Yeah, she's the only one I can't remember for some reason. Like I can remember all my other teachers, even the ones that I didn't like, but like I don't know what her name was. I cannot, and like I had her for 2 years because I had her for biology 1 and then biology 2. I'm just like I don't know why I cannot. I remember she had like auburn hair. She was Asian. She was not Filipino. She was Korean, and she was Korean and I can't remember the other one. She was Korean and she was Korean and something else. And then her husband was Chinese. Why I remember her husband being Chinese, but I can't remember her name. I don't know. But she was Korean and like another Asian. I can't remember what it is right now. And she had glasses. And like anytime that she raised her glasses like this, she would also do. So I was just like, I loved her. She was great. Cannot remember her name.
Mm.
She also had adult braces. I remember. And she was like, "Yeah, I couldn't afford them when I was younger. My family couldn't afford them, but now I'm making money and I can afford them now." I'm like, "Okay, good for you."
Mm.
But yeah, she was cool. I liked her a lot. Can't remember her name. That was a random weird tangent, but yeah.
Mm. So I think that concludes our purpose episode.
Yeah, please let's end it.
So this has been a really great episode. You know, if you want to go back and listen to the highlights. Basically, North Node, your temperament's very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
And just understanding the barriers that you could face between, you know, fully actualizing
Mm-hmm.
your purpose.
Exactly.
All
Yes.
right, so,
And thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of the chat again. We appreciate it. We'll see you next Saturday.
yes.
Next
Yes.
Saturday with a new topic. Most likely nervous system. I think that's what we've settled on.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so
All right.
is Gina.
Yes, and I'm Anna.
And I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Bless.
Yes. And we'll see you next week. Bye.